Hello, hello. So today was at last the fated day. I went to Toronto and I wrote the N4 exam. It's pretty intense, pretty interesting. I met up first with my friends that were there writing the N2 because they're huge geniuses. Um, and they've practiced a whole lot. I went in feeling not terrible, not super, unconfident or whatever. I drank some coffee beforehand, which I rarely do. I think that helped a lot. I felt pretty giddy, honestly. It's pretty cool too, looking at the various demographics of people that were there to write the test. Within my N4 class, I think there was pretty much every age and race imaginable represented. There was like old ladies, probably retirees that kind of picked up Japanese as a hobby, down to there was like a literal child. She seemed like she was maybe 12 at the oldest, a few rows down from me. That really made me feel pretty dumb. Honestly, though, children are cheating because they have way more neuroplasticity than an adult, so it's not even fair. Yeah, there was like such a wide swath covered by this one testing zone too. Like there was people in from Quebec. I could hear Quebecois French being spoken out in the hallway and stuff. It was really kind of festive, you know. It had the air of like a really big occasion. Everyone making their pilgrimage out to this one testing site. Everyone kind of nervous, going over their notes, quizzing each other. It was a really wonderful air, even though the actual test itself was very intense and exhausting. And I don't know. I think it went okay. The first section, the really language vocabulary based one, there was a few that I was confident on, and then quite a few where I'm like, okay, it's 50-50 between these two, and a couple that were just totally wild swings. But, I think if I got lucky, maybe a pass. Then reading, I thought went really well. But I also thought that during the mock test, and that was my weakest section. It's like for each of the big passages, uh, you know, via being able to recognize kanji and stuff, I know what they're about, I think. I know what it's saying in general, I think. But then it's like the details of the questions themselves are such that all of the answers seem feasible. Because it's all these little grammatical points and stuff that I don't actually know, that I don't understand yet. That and of course it's set up in that way such that it really hones in on those little nuances. And then I got to one section where again I was able to put together, based on knowing all the kanji and knowing what most of the compounds and stuff mean, like what it seemed to be about, but I couldn't come up with any sort of overall message that it could have. Like it just seemed still like nonsense to me. And then I realized, like, oh, geez, like, probably for all the other ones too, I could have just been able to come up quickly with, like, a story that I'm like, oh, yeah, it's talking about this, then it's talking about this, and talking about this. It must be this in general, when really I could be totally off the mark. The ones where you're, like, reading, like a menu and stuff and trying to discern information from it, I think I'm fairly confident with those. Which is good because that's definitely like a real life type skill that they're testing you, something that you would really actually have to do in Japan pretty often, I would think, if you're living there. So I don't know. I think reading went decent, but it humbled me, that one question. It made me realize like it's not enough to think that you know what it's about. You really, really need to know what it actually says. And then finally, listening went okay. It seemed harder than the mock exam. There was a couple where I really had no idea what they were talking about at all. But most of the time, I at least, again, kind of like with the reading, I knew the general subject. I knew what was being asked, but it was such that I couldn't quite pick out, which one of the answers was being discussed as, yes, this is the one, and which ones were being discussed as, that one's okay, but it has some drawback or whatever, like those kind of being able to figure out through context and through kind of constructing a paragraph through multiple sentences, inferring whether or not they're saying one thing or the other. So I don't know. It was tricky. When I first left, I was feeling pretty down. But then, when I was killing time waiting for my friends to get out of the N2, I started playing some Word Streak with Friends. And I got a really good PB, 8,400. Not as good as the score that I got when it crashed, but it's a score good enough that I'm second place now among all my friends. I'm like, I feel fairly content with that. And then, defying all causality, the fact that I did really well on Word Streak made me start feeling more confident in how I did on the N4. But honestly, it doesn't really matter. If I pass, if I fail, either way, I was really underprepared. I didn't take it seriously enough. I didn't start practicing soon enough. You know, I should have been writing my first mock tests weeks in advance, not like 3 days in advance. I should have been going to the training camp sessions before Japanese class and really trying to grind them out and then asking questions about what I got wrong. And like I didn't even end up reviewing my mock test, and that's a really easy way to practice, to go through and look at all the ones you got wrong and figure out why the right answer is right. Like I really half-assed it. And I was kind of disappointed in myself. So even if I pass, I don't know, it's not good enough. But then I was thinking about it, and I think I went into this and went into kind of Japanese learning in general with a bad attitude that I've had in regards to a lot of things, where I want stuff to be easy. You know, when I'm learning something, my goal isn't necessarily to be able to do it as much as it is to be able to do it easily. And this is something that I've had a problem with in many fields. And I think it stems from, not to go like super introspective and psychological or whatever, it's just sort of interesting, I think, to me. So I read a study once where they took a group of kindergartners, they had them complete a task, and then half of the kindergartners, after they'd completed that task, they said, wow, good job, you're so smart, you made that look really easy. The kindergartner's like, yeah, I'm smart, awesome. And then the other half, they said, wow, you're so hardworking. That was really hard for you, but you still did it. And they're like, yeah, woo, I'm hardworking. And then probably unsurprisingly, the results of the test, or the question was, they gave the kindergartners a second set of tasks, a much harder set of tasks, ones that they weren't at all expected to complete. And the ones that were told they were hardworking, like tried a lot harder. They didn't give up as easily as the ones that were praised for being smart. I think, you know, when I first read this, not that it's so convenient that you can just be like, wow, all the problems in my life are explained by this one study, but I know as a kid I was always praised for being smart, you know? Oh, you're so smart, you're so smart. And doing things like above my grade level that I found natural were like especially praised. Like reading, I was like really early to be able to read at all. And then I read like way beyond my grade level all the time when I was a kid. And to me, like that came very naturally to me. I don't know. I don't know if I can explain that in any more depth, but it just did. So I had this association that the most praiseworthy things that I could do were like doing things that other people found hard easily. And also when I was a kid, like math was like that too. Like I was able to stay ahead of the curve with math such that everything we were doing in class felt very easy to me. And that to me felt like mastery. That to me felt like the good feeling of fluency. And then when I started university and I started doing university math, it was just like smashed into a wall. I had no idea what I was doing for the first time. There was kids in my class that were just like way better than me, way more prepared than me, way more math literate in general than me. And I was like, well, I just can't do this. Like I could not make myself climb over that wall. And I've had this problem with like writing too, where you know, a lot of things to do with writing come pretty naturally to me. I found it fairly easy. But then once I started trying to do more ambitious things, as soon as I felt like I was hitting a wall, I would just give up. because if it wasn't easy, then it felt like I must just be inherently bad at it and would never be able to do it. And I realized too, with Japanese, my goal is to make it easy. Like, we're reading through Yatsuba right now. And it's a bit of a struggle. And I think it makes for fun videos, that it's a struggle and that I don't know what I'm doing. But if I thought that it would always be this much of a struggle, I wouldn't have ever picked up this Japanese learning project to begin with. I would have... It's because I have this dream that eventually I'll be like so fluent that reading Japanese will be just as easy as reading English, and I'll be able to go through Japanese manga just like I do English manga. And I don't know, part of me still wants to believe in that, but I have to realize that, the easiness of it can't be the goal in and of itself, and I can't feel bad when it's not easy. I have to embrace the suffering, I have to embrace the struggle of it, and realize that there's going to be big obstacles that I need to climb over. Like, my friends that were writing the N2, I don't know, I was thinking about this too, because like when I was doing the N4 today, I was like, oh man, I should have just done the N5. The N5 is probably easy peasy for me right now. But what would have been the point of that? Like, what would I have gained by doing an easy test? My friends writing the N2, they were really prepared. They have been studying and grinding and stuff, but they had no hope that it would be easy. They knew that they were still pushing the outer limit of their Japanese ability. They embraced that. They wanted that. They knew that that's how they would improve. I don't know. That's really admirable. I need to realize, like, there's going to be a whole lot of suffering and a whole lot of rewarding moments too, before it ever becomes easy. And that if I ever arrive on that other side where it is natural for me, it's going to be something that I'm going to have to earn. I don't know. So it's like, I think with writing, that's an example of something where I got over it. And this is, I think, one of the biggest values of the English degree for me, was that I would be given difficult projects, difficult essays that I had to write, things that I was interested in doing that I would have wanted to do as like personal projects. But because I knew my grade was on the line, and via having a tutoring job that required a certain average, my income was on the line too. You better well believe that I did it, even if it took me all night, several nights, even if I had to, drink coffee and things like that, and really grind it out. So I kind of got over that hump, and much wider range of writing, not just became easy to me, but the scope of what I can do, period, increased. Or something like, I don't know, I think ITG In the Groove is a good example too. Like there, it's very straightforward. You just have to keep playing harder and harder songs. Even if you collapse when you're done them, even if you fall off the pad and can't move, there's no way that you can just, keep grinding easy songs and that will suddenly make a difficult song easy. You have to do it when it's difficult, or else you'll never do it. So I don't know. It's like a big attitude adjustment that I have to make. And I don't think I can make it just at the level of, oh, I've realized this is the problem now, it's just fixed for everything. It's just for each one of these things I have to recognize, am I expecting this to be easy? Am I mad, not because it's hard, but because I expect it to be easy? Should I not be able to, get over myself and just do something difficult? So, I don't know. And honestly, okay, having said all that, I did do something difficult. I still am pretty happy with the progress I've made in Japanese. At this time last year, there was still a lot of kana that I would regularly screw up and mix up. I knew the numbers in kanji because of Mahjong and Northwest, East, South, again because of Mahjong, and maybe like 4 or 5 other random ones, probably because of Mahjong and things like that. But my total kanji were like way less than 50. And today I read every single kanji in my test book and knew what they meant. And that's like hundreds and hundreds. I think it's probably close to 1,000 that I can recognize now. I went from being able to say like Ringo wa oishii desu as the most like sophisticated sentence I could make or understand, to knowing quite a bit of grammar, Still getting mixed up a lot on like conjugation of verbs and stuff, and stumbling over myself when I try to speak, but being able at least to parse much, much more sophisticated sentences and long paragraphs of information into something understandable. So I think I'm doing okay. I think I should be fairly happy with this level of progression. And like if you had asked me, is it at all feasible to feel like you've mastered Japanese and that, reading manga is easy within a year? I said, of course not. Only an idiot would expect that. But somehow, at some point during this, I think I became convinced that it would be easy. But no, it's going to be hard, and it's going to be hard, and it'll take a while. But we'll do it. We'll do it. Yatta! Anyways, afterwards, I went with my friends to Navito World. I bought some stuff. Got Girls in Panzer Nendroid Petite. It's a blind box, so I don't know who we're gonna get. I'm hoping Yukari or Miho-chan or Kaori-chan. I think, these three are my top three. These two are okay, but less so. They also had like the other team's girls too, but I think I like the main team best. Alright, who do we get? Come on, Yukari. Come on, you tank otaku. Ooh, we got Yukari! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Oh, miracle upon miracles. We got Yukari. I even like picked it up. I shook it. It's like, that sounds like some fluffy hair in there. That sounds like a fluffy haired girl if I've ever heard one. Oh boy, oh boy. She's pretty cute. The hair is just so fluffy. Have you ever seen that doujin that's just like 30 pages of fluffing Yukari's hair? And then there's like a sequel where she goes to like a spa and they like wet it and then they fluff it up some more. It's beautiful. It's like beyond fetishy. Like it's not about that. It's just about appreciating the fluffiness of hair. She can kind of do a little salute. It's pretty great. Where did the little stand go? Oh, it's still in here. I hope soon I get to see the Girls in Panzer, the final movies. I don't know, probably not though, because like, it's just coming out in Japanese theaters now, and they won't make Blu-rays until the theatrical run stops. And the previous Girls in Panzer theatrical run was like years. No, maybe not years, maybe a year. So I don't know. I'm probably gonna be waiting a long, long time, but it'll be worth it. The previous movie was so good. As soon as the battle started, I remember I checked like how much time was left. I was like, oh my god, I think the rest is gonna be all battle, and it was. It was. I think it was one of the longest. Like I watched like war movies and stuff too. My dad likes them, so they often have a similar structure of like character introduction, backstories for all the guys, and you gotta take bets on who's gonna die, and then they get out in combat, and then the rest is mostly combat. But I think the Girls in Panzer movie actually has the biggest ratio of combat to non-combat of like any of those movies I've watched. It was beautiful. It was just straight up, you want to see tanks fighting? Here, let's watch tanks fighting for like an hour. Ah, Yukari. Alright. If I get Miho, I'm passing the N4. That's it. How do I press this? Is it either like the miraculous day, I passed the N4 and I got the girls I wanted? Or is it like, oh, your luck has burned up in getting the girls you wanted? You actually had terrible luck on the N4. Also, I already got lucky getting Word Streak with Friends. A good PB for that. And I think I got lucky with the bus, too. Like, the bus timing worked out really well when I got back into the city. So I've been pretty lucky today. I think that number of lucky occurrences suggest that we'll finish it off with the final stroke of luck. Miho? Come on, show me Miho. Show me my favorite girls in Panzer color combo. Ah, I got Miporin. That's okay. That's what I wanted second most. Oh, I didn't even mention. Yeah, I got another one. I just kind of like went at it. Yeah. My plan was to be like, if I didn't get Yukari, I'd be like, oh well, still got round 2, but we got Yukari right off the bat. Oh, she's making the peace sign. Okay, that's awesome. I can just get Miho later. I think this is a pretty good pull. I just feel this is like right now. It's that scene in A Talk of Little Love. If you want to read a really good Yuri Girls in Panzer Dojin, look up A Talk of Little Love. This is the starting scene where Yukari and Miporin are hanging out, and Yukari is asking for love advice. And then later, once I get Miho, it'll be like the end of the Dojin. See how culturally literate I am? Don't you see how my motivations are in the right place when it comes to learning this beautiful language with its rich cultural history? And I was trying to figure out when I was writing the exam, like, I wonder what all these people are learning Japanese for. I was trying to smell out the weebs, the other degens that just want to read stuff that's not going to get stimulated. It was actually hard to tell. Everybody was looking pretty normal. I was looking pretty normal. They were looking pretty normal. Nobody made it explicit. I saw one guy in line for registration that had like a Nerve jacket, like from Evangelion, but he was going for like the N1, I think. So I'm like, all right, yeah, that guy, he's earned it. Once you're going for the N1, like, you know so much Japanese that nobody can fault you for your motivations at all. I think that more than anything is the reason why I want to like get good, because I think I would feel ashamed if I went at it for such a silly reason, like wanting to just consume a bunch of media, and then I like half-assed it, you know? If you have a bad motivation, you have to shut them up by being really good. That's my rule of thumb. Hey, it's me for you. All right, I hope you enjoyed that vlog, I guess. I just had made a couple videos before about the N4, so I thought I would share my experiences actually taking it. Overall, I'm thinking it's a pretty positive experience. Like, if I fail and it was a big waste of time, so what? I know what it's like now. I've learned a lot of Japanese preparing for it, even though my preparation was much less than it should be. And it was, I don't know. Now I know what it's like, the whole experience. Registering, getting there, finding my room, having to sit for like 2 hours. Like, there were breaks between sections. I didn't realize there would be, but there was breaks between sections, so that wasn't so bad. But still, it was exhausting. Oh man, I'm just not used to that sort of test of that length. But again, it's not going to get easy. Even my friends, who I like alluded to before, who encouraged me to sign up because he had taken the same amount of classes as me when he wrote the N4 and he passed. But I was like, oh, it's cheating because he's done all sorts of programming contests. He's really good at programming contests, which are like similar in that you have to sit there and concentrate really hard for a long period of time. But he still found the N2 exhausting. Like, he's still, it didn't become easy for him, you know? And he said all the programming contests he did too, they were hard. They were exhausting. You know, just because you're good doesn't mean it's easy. That's the real takeaway lesson here, I guess. All right. Yay. Yay. All right. Sweet. See you later.